Hey there, everybody. I'm working from home today. I'm having a bit of a quiet day here at Not Transport Evolved. I'm going to be at home. Yeah. So I'm working from home today primarily because we're packing to move house. That's what all of this is behind me. And we're just in the process of making sure everything is packed up. And I've discovered that having Wednesdays as a work from home day works really well for me. Hello. So please forgive the absolutely terrible packing mess behind me. Our downstairs bedroom is full of boxes right now. Boxes, woodworking, and fursuits, because I'm going to a convention in a couple of weeks. I'm supposed to be taking that thing with me and she's not finished. Anyway, you're not here to watch me talk about that. I am currently uploading a video talking about Tesla and some of the ways it might need funding and how it might go about that. That's going to be coming up on the main channel a little bit later on. But I thought I haven't had a proper hangout with you guys for a while. And so I thought I'd talk about some of the things that have happened in the last kind of 24 hours that I haven't done a video about, but I think is worth covering. And the first thing is obviously that the Tesla Model 3 has now been gone on sale, or ordering is now being accepted in the UK. And it's really kind of interesting because the price for that car, the right-hand drive Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus, is going to start at £38,000 sterling. That's a lot of money, and it's more expensive than some other electric cars in that marketplace. And yes, the Standard Range Plus is going to be £38,050. That is, I believe, yeah, that is before incentives. So obviously you do get access to a UK government plug-in car grant that will help lower the cost of that. You'll also obviously save money from not having petrol if you're making the switch from petrol to electric. But, you know, it's still more expensive than what you'd pay in the United States for what is essentially the same vehicle. Now, if you live in the UK, you will be used to seeing how expensive Teslas are. They're more expensive in Europe than they are in the United States. That's partly due to exchange rates, and it's partly due to the logistics of shipping cars halfway around the world. Now, a couple of things that I should note here. Obviously, Tesla is quoting the WLTP range, and every time this happens, somebody brings it up and says, well, why does a Tesla get this far in the US and this far in Europe? It is because in different parts of the world, there are different standards by which they measure vehicle range. In the United States, we use the EPA range testing. In parts of Japan, they use a different cycle, I've forgotten the name of it. And in Europe now, they used to use the NEDC and they're now using the WLTP. Now, WLTP is a little more optimistic than EPA in terms of its real world range. And that means that you end up having a car that appears to go further per charge than its US counterpart. The reality is that they've got the same battery pack, and in the same conditions they would drive the same distance. So if anybody says to you, oh yes, but the Model 3, yeah, it might be more expensive in the UK, but you can travel further, you can actually tell them, no, I'm sorry, that's not the case. Now let's look at some of the prices, the other prices here. We've got the long range dual motor starts at £47,050 sterling, and the performance version, that's the dual motor performance, obviously for Model 3, starts at £56,050. Sorry, I had to double check, that was a 6 and not an 8. That's pretty expensive. And I mean, yes, it's a premium car, but it's a shame that Tesla wasn't able to bring that price down a little bit closer to the $35,000 equivalent price that you would have in the UK. Because obviously there were people who purchased this car. Put a reservation down. Mark Chatterley who used to be my co-host on this channel, he put a deposit down, and a couple of months ago he actually cancelled his deposit and he got a Renault Zoe instead, because he didn't have access. He didn't think that the amount of money that Tesla was going to be asking would be an achievable price for him. And it's not. So let's just do a conversion here. So we'll go $35,000 to pounds. So if we were to do a straightforward conversion, 35,000 US dollars is about 26,815 quid, pounds, whatever. And, even if we were to say, okay, exchange rate fluctuations and the cost of bringing the vehicle to the UK, if Tesla had been able to say, hey, this car is going to be 30 grand before incentives, that would have been a really fantastic thing for the company. But as it is, at £38,000, that equates to, let me do this now, that equates to $49,662.93 at today's current exchange rates for your base Standard Range Plus Model 3. It's not clear if the Standard Range is going to be available at all, but the Standard Range Plus costs the equivalent of £49,662 sterling, which puts it out of the reach, I think, of a lot of people who would have put down that $1,000 deposit because they wanted an affordable Model 3. So it's a bit of a shame, really, that Tesla is not able to hit that price point in the UK, especially considering, there's been a bit of a delay to get that vehicle out. The Standard Range Model 3 is more than adequate because the UK is not a big country, and so it's going to be a difficult sell, I think. Mike says, I'll never buy another Leaf because of the battery price hike. And yeah, Mike, there are other companies that are doing, I think, unfortunate, stupid things as well. I think in Tesla's case for Model 3, that price hike is going to put some people off, just like the battery thing put some people off getting a Nissan Leaf. I know it's put me off getting another Nissan Leaf for sure. But there are other electric vehicles in the UK. I mean, obviously you've got the Zoe, you do have the Nissan Leaf. Some people will opt for that. You'll also have access to the Kona and the Kia. So the Kona from Hyundai, and I'm saying it the British way because I'm talking about a British topic, and also the Kia e-Niro or Niro EV, depending on where you live in the world. And those vehicles are not far off that price either. In fact, I need to just double check what the Niro EV price is in the UK. So just give me a second. Kona, oops, I'm trying to do this with one hand. Kona EV UK price. Prices for the Kona Electric start at 25 grand. No, yes, you get autopilot, you get all these other features. But I should also note that in the UK right now, it's against UK law to take your hands off the steering wheel. Like if a cop passes you and you have both of your hands off the steering wheel, you'll get in trouble with the police. It's not like the US. Because I actually stopped a cop in Oregon. I say I stopped a cop. I happened upon a cop at one point. I can't remember why I was talking to them, but I went, hey, by the way, if this car was being driven and I didn't have my hands on the wheel, would you give me a ticket? And in Oregon, in the United States, that particular cop said to me, as long as the vehicle was under control and it was not out of control, I wouldn't give you a ticket. In the UK, if your hands aren't on the steering wheel, then you get a ticket. So I guess what I'm saying is that the cost of upgrading, paying that extra money to get that Model 3 in the UK is less of an incentive than it might be in the United States, because you can't completely take your hands off the wheel for autopilot. I know you can't really in the US, and Tesla says you shouldn't, but bear with me, especially with fully self-driving coming out, supposedly, in the next year or so. So that's the first thing. I mean, I'm interested to see what you guys think, because I think that puts the the Model 3 at a really difficult price point in the market in the UK right now, because people are going to want to buy it, but they may be put off by the price. The next thing to talk about is Canada, which has got this new incentives for electric vehicles, but there is a maximum price cutoff. I believe it's 45,000 Canadian dollars. So if your electric vehicle costs than 45,000 Canadian dollars, you won't be able to get an incentive from the Canadian government to buy your EV. And even the base level Tesla Model 3, as it was standing, was too expensive to be eligible for that price. So what Tesla decided to do was it is now offering a standard range Tesla Model 3, which is an off-menu item. You have to know it exists. It's not on the Tesla configuration site, but if you know it exists, you can go into a Tesla store, or you can ring up a Tesla store and say, hey, I want to buy the standard range Model 3. It will have software locked features, just like the standard range Model 3 in the United States. Software locked features and a limited range, which is also software locked. The difference is, in the US, the software lock still gives you like 220 miles of range, but in Canada, they're going to lock it so you get the equivalent of about 93 miles of range. And as a consequence, they've dropped the price so that the purchase price for that Model 3 is below the threshold at which you can then claim the incentives, which is a very clever move on Tesla's part. It's done it before. It's a little sneaky, and it's kind of like one of those teenagers where they go, you tell them you can't be out beyond a certain time, and then they come back and went, well, it's this time in this time zone, and you didn't say which time zone we were talking about. So it does seem extremely strange. The car costs more for them to make. But here's, I think, what Tesla is going to do. Tesla's going to sell you the car at that reduced price. And then I think at that point, what Tesla will then do is then turn around and say, okay, you've bought your car, would you get your discount? How about upgrading to the standard range plus range, or the standard range that you would normally get, so the 220 miles or whatever. And I think then it will become an aftermarket upgrade. It won't affect the total value of the vehicle at point of purchase, and the upgrade will become a software unlock, which is added after the point. I also wonder if Tesla will turn around and say, oh, okay, now you've got this incentive. We'll keep hold of the incentive for you, and then at a later date, we'll unlock that option for you. So let's see what Tesla does in that regard. Because I am very, 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 very interested to see what happens with that one. The other thing I was going to talk to you about, and someone's actually sent me a message, literally sent me a message about this, is that the smart car is now getting discontinued in the United States. The Smart for 2 and the Smart for 4 will go away at the end of this year. So if you want to buy a smart car, now's your time to do it, because these cars are going to disappear at the end of the year. Now, it does, raise the question of what's going to happen with servicing, etc., etc. I'm a big fan of the smart car personally. I used to own one, and I thought I think they're fantastic little vehicles. I love them. I love the electric. I used to own a diesel version, but I also like the electrics. In fact, I spent a fair amount of time with the electric version, and I'm going to be really sad that it's going. I know about 5 people with smart cars, which is probably more than your average person in this part of the world, or maybe not in Portland, Oregon, but if you go away from the coast, you're not going to see very many smart cars, and that's one of the reasons why Daimler North America has decided to get rid of them, because they're not making the company money, and there's some question as to whether these vehicles will actually be worth all the money that they carry on. Canadian EV grant is 45,000 MSRP, but max 55k with options. Thank you for clarifying that. I really do appreciate it when people clarify things, because I don't always get to all of the information that I would like to get, because there's so much going on in the EV space these days that it's almost impossible for me to keep up. Tea. So, you know, if I say something that you think is wrong, or you can show me that I've got wrong, please reach out and tell me. I don't mind people telling me that I'm wrong. The point here, though, is that I want to learn when I make a mistake. So please tell me. Just don't be a dick about it. And yeah, back to the Tesla Canada thing, because a couple of you are talking about it. I think it's actually a big problem for the company, this particular incentive. And Tesla is complying with the law in order to make sure that it can still offer Teslas to customers who want them. It's a bit like when it kind of make that off-menu item for the Model 3 standard range to go, yeah, we're still going to offer the standard range, but yeah, you don't really want it, do you? Do you? Nah, you'd rather have this one. And that's essentially how they're doing it. So yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but there we go. So at this point, I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that we've got coming up on the channel in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be around for another week, one more week, excuse me. But over the next couple of weeks, the content may get a little bit sporadic because I'm moving house, which is why all these boxes and unpacking things. There were books in there, and we're packing all of our stuff away. And so there are boxes everywhere in our house, and so I am spending more and more time at home packing up. And next week we're going to be signing paperwork for the house. I have just been talking to a company about getting a charging station put in. I need to order another charging station, so we're going to have 3 charging stations at our house, believe it or not. We also need to get a load of extra things done to the house, like we've got to get an aerial for our internet because we're going to be using LTE internet rather than, we don't have cable up there, we're right out in the middle of nowhere. We've got to have, we're having flood wiring put in, so the actual inside of the house will have flood wiring everywhere. And then we've also got to do some, you know, do the kind of standard things that you get by a house, you know, get some things tweaked and stuff like that. So we've got to be at the house quite a lot over the next couple of weeks. Unfortunately, and this was not planned, I am going to be away for a week, as is Erin. We're both going away for a whole week before I move. Well, a whole week, probably just like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday of that week. In about 2 weeks, we're going to be away. And it's an event that I'd planned to go to a long time ago. And Erin did too. And we did this before we knew that I was going to be moving home. So my wife, bless her, she is working on some new woodwork for the house. We are packing like crazy. My goal is to be completely packed before I disappear so that my wife doesn't have to do all the packing. And then the day after we get back, we're hiring a big lorry and we're going to be moving ourselves. We will move in the week before Memorial Day. And then the week after Memorial Day, I'm in the UK with the rest of the team Fully Charged Live, which brings me to the next point. So over the next couple of weeks, that content's going to become more sporadic, at least the live stuff. And you're going to start to see more pre-recorded content. And that includes, they call that a truck. We are going to be, are you okay, buddy? Sorry, my dog's coughing in the corner. In the next couple of weeks, we are going to be putting more pre-recorded content out. And that includes the videos from India, which are now sitting on our new server. We're going to have a video about our new server. We've hooked up with the wonderful folks at 45 Drives. We're going to be making a featured sponsored video about that, which we will be recording probably tomorrow or next week. So the 2 videos from India, the 45 Drives video. We've got the review of the Energica SA9. If you followed in my Twitter stream the other day, I put a video up from the wheel camera of that motorbike. I fell in love with that bike and I'm still there. And then we are going to be putting up the Kia Niro EV video, hopefully in the next couple of weeks as well. Side question, since you're live, you're going to be in the office tomorrow morning for you to drop off some goodies. I will be. Yeah, you can drop by tomorrow morning. That's totally fine. We are going to be... several people are saying, where are you moving to? So I'm moving to the countryside in the environs of Portland, the greater Portland area. I will be about 25 miles out of town. So if you drew a circle around Portland, then about 25 miles out, you'd hit my house. So I'm going to be about 25 miles out of Portland in the countryside. We have absolutely no internet out there. Like we could buy, like, I think AT&T do broadband out there, but it's 1.5 megabits per second down and 700k up. So our choices are satellite internet, wireless internet from like a big fixed Wi-Fi, or using an LTE modem. So we're going to try the LTE modem and see how we do. And if that fails and it's just too slow, or we don't get the amount of data we need, then we'll switch to a fixed wireless. We're not too worried about it because there's going to be a 5G rollout in the next couple of years. And when 5G goes live, at that point, everyone's going to be getting, you know, decent internet speeds wherever they are. So worst case scenario, we'll have about a year of dodgy internet. And coming from a house where I'm filming this now, we have 100 down and 100 up, which is faster than the Transport Evolved studio. So that's going to be quite a challenge. The other thing that we're doing is Transport Evolved is desperately looking for a new place to move to. We have outgrown our studio. There are now boxes everywhere. We're looking for a new place to work on the west side of Portland, so we're going to be doing that. And hopefully we'll have a decent internet there. The big question is, will you have service, 5G service at your home? Yeah, we should do. We're going to put up a couple of Yagi antennas and we'll go from there. So fingers crossed. We've done some tests up there and we think at the moment we've got LTE. We think we can probably, with a proper antenna, we think we can probably get about 30 to 40 megs down, which should more than adequate. And we've got a failback of about, I think we've got a failback of 20, either 10 or 20 from the wireless Wi-Fi people. So all of that means that we're going to be busy and we're going to be moving around. We're also going to be buying some more gear. We've got some new camera gear on the way, which I'm not going to talk about because I jinxed it last time I talked about camera gear. But we are going to be going to the UK for Fully Charged Live, which is the next thing I want to talk to you guys about. And I want to talk to you about a social. We are talking about having a curry at Fully Charged Live, or not at Fully Charged Live. We'll talk about having a curry maybe in Nottingham or one of the other towns nearby as part of our Fully Charged Live excursion. Erin, I think, has not had a British curry before. We treated her to the closest thing we've ever had to a British curry when we were in Las Vegas, of all places, earlier this year. And I think she's going to have a go at the other stuff now. Erin's really enjoying travelling with Transport Evolved. I don't think she'll admit it, but I think she's enjoying getting the chance to travel out and about. I know that Brandon, too, had a really good time when he went to India, as did I. So it's really nice to be able to travel a little bit more. My wife is from Ipswich, you say. Not my wife, your wife. Well, Ipswich is lovely. I like Ipswich. They are mortal enemies of Norwich, which, because they have a football team in Ipswich, Ipswich Town Football Club, which they call the Tractor Boys, and they are mortal enemies of the Canaries, which are the football team in Norwich, and those two football teams are close to each other, so Norfolk and Suffolk border one another, and they're both in the same region. So football, or soccer if you are American and you want to call it like that. So that's everything that's been going on, everything that will be going on. Hopefully in about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more, today's video will be up. It is actually rendering right now. You can see that rendering away. Because I'm doing it on my laptop, it's a bit slow. So we'll see where we go with that, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to buy something from our shop. If you're interested in that meetup, reach out, let me know. We'll see what we can do. We'll probably going to maybe open it up to the Patreons first, and then we'll open it up to regular viewers a bit later on. Don't forget too that if you are a Patreon at patreon.com/transport evolved, you can get 5% off everything in our swag shop if you are a plugged in level. If you are a fully charged level, or not, we don't call it fully charged, we call it charged up. If you are a charged up supporter, you get 10% off. And if you go up to like Spaceman, to other ones, you'll go up from there. Hello, Mobius One. I thought you were at work today, so hello. Oh, wow. I can't believe you made me do that in a live stream. Anyway, have a great one, guys. Don't forget,